So, in case you guys missed last week we did a whole class on statins. And so this is kind of a follow-up to that because statins are a drug that has been pushed on you guys for the reasons why I personally think are ridiculous. And I'm going to kind of go into a little bit of that tonight, but I really would like you to watch last week's class eventually, if you can, if you haven't already, because it really kind of shows you the dangers of statins. There's really, honestly, there's not an upside to a statin unless you decide you're not going to ever change your lifestyle. Meaning, if you don't have a plan to change your lifestyle, your nutrition, your stress, your eating, the foods that you're putting in, if you don't have a plan to do that, then you need to go on a statin because the statin does work. The statin lowers your cholesterol, lowers your cholesterol, lowers all the cholesterol, but you can prevent the bad cholesterol from accumulating in the body with your diet. Okay, so if you don't have a plan and you want to keep eating like crap and you just want, then go on a statin because the statin will keep the cholesterol down, the bad cholesterol down. The problem with that is the side effects, the risks of the statin far outweigh the benefits. So the benefit is it lowers the LDL, but the side effects are, which I explained last week. There's so many side effects to a statin because it's pulling out the very, very important cholesterol in your body, which we're going to talk about tonight. Our bodies need cholesterol so bad. And so the whole class last week was talking about you don't need to have a statin if you're doing the right things from a lifestyle perspective. And last week's class talked a lot about the dangers of a statin. What I didn't do last week is say, oh, everybody should be off a statin. I mean, that's not what I said. I did say, though, that you will have better health if you decide to improve your food choices and your lifestyle so that you don't need a statin. Okay, because if you're on a statin, your health will decline pretty quickly. And it's, having good cholesterol in your body and not the bad cholesterol, having the good cholesterol, which I'll explain tonight, the difference between the good and the bad, but having good cholesterol in your body is mandatory for your health. It's mandatory to live. And these statins are lowering all of your cholesterol, which is not good. Okay, so if you haven't watched that class, go back and watch that. But tonight we're going to talk about, the basics of cholesterol. I really want you guys to understand why it's important and why having higher numbers of cholesterol, if you know the kind of cholesterol that's high, because there's different forms of cholesterol, having higher numbers of cholesterol is not necessarily a bad thing. And I'm going to explain that. I'm going to really try to make this confusing topic very simple. I'm going to try my best. It is complex, but I'm going to try to really dumb it down for myself because when I was studying and learning it, I had to dumb it down for me because it was very complex. So I'm going to really try to explain it in a way that is easy to understand. So I have charts here and then I have a PowerPoint. And so let's go ahead and get started. So let's talk about the cholesterol basics. You guys, last week, like I said, we talked a lot about what doctors are telling you about cholesterol. What they're telling you is that high cholesterol causes heart attack. So when you go to your doctor and he does your lipid panel and your cholesterol is higher than what they're thinking it should be, one number, by the way, there's three different numbers that your doctor should be informing you of, but they're looking at one, which is the total cholesterol, the one total. If that is high and in his calculation, if he thinks it's a high number, he's going to tell you that causes heart attacks, and then he's going to put you on a statin. That's just the doctor, the MD protocol. Take your lipid panel, look at one number. If it's not in the range that they're told it should be in, they put you on a statin. And then last week I explained all about what the negative benefits of the statin. Statins, they actually remove your body's ability to make cholesterol. Your liver makes 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol, and a statin really does impact that and stops your body from producing it, which is not a good thing. So I explained that all in last week's class. So go back and watch that. So I'm going to say this over and over and over and over and over again. Cholesterol does not cause heart attacks. 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 You're not being told that. You're being told that cholesterol causes heart attacks. It does not. The cholesterol does not cause the heart attack. The cholesterol can be a part of it, but it does not cause it. So hear me on that, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to explain to you why. It's never just one thing that causes the heart attack, and cholesterol for sure is not one of the reasons why it's causing. It's not the only reason. And I really started to study this when my dad had a heart attack because my dad had blockages in his arteries, and his cholesterol was not high. His triglycerides were high, and his bad LDL was elevated, but his total cholesterol was not that bad. So when he had the heart attack, I was like, why? And he wasn't on a statin. And I was like, why in the world? What's happening here? So this really made me do a deeper dive and research on statins. And when my dad had these blockages, it was scary. It was scary. And I'm going to explain tonight why I told my dad after his heart attack that he is not going to go back on a statin because the statin is going to decrease his quality of life and his health so bad that I want to teach him. I've been teaching him how to keep his arteries open by not allowing them to be inflamed. The inflammation is causing the arteries to block. Okay, so cholesterol, our body needs it. It makes 3,000 milligrams a day. 1,000 your liver makes and 2,000 your cells make. So if our body makes that much cholesterol per day, why are doctors telling you don't need it? It's very, very, very important. Cholesterol is needed in every cell of the body. If we remove the cholesterol from your body, you will die. 25% of your body's cholesterol is in your brain. So why do you think when you go on a statin and your body is reducing the cholesterol, why do you think there is a rapid increase in Alzheimer's and dementia? This is why. Since statins have been introduced into the medical arena and patients have been put on this, the dementia and the Alzheimer's has increased. And so is fibromyalgia, and so has chronic disease. Like I said, last week I kind of explained the side effects of the statins. Going on a statin will decrease your health so bad, but it does work. It does work in regarding lowering your cholesterol. My whole reason why I'm doing these classes is I want to teach you why cholesterol isn't bad to have. High cholesterol is not bad. You're being told it is. So I want to explain to you why it's not. So your body needs cholesterol. So that's the whole reason why the statins are so dangerous, because it is. The statins do lower the cholesterol, but your body needs it. So there's the rub. We have to understand the underlying reasons why your body needs cholesterol. So I went through this last week, and I'm not going to go through it tonight, but these were some of the main reasons why your body needs cholesterol. Every cell, membrane, structure in your body needs it. It's essential for every cell, membrane, and structure and function in the body. It plays a vital role in the production of important biological compounds. It's needed to make bile salts, which your gallbladder is responsible for holding bile. And if you don't make bile salts, you can't absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, K1, and K2. It's important for cellular processes. It's found in every cell of the body. Cholesterol and vitamin D are the two things that every cell in the body needs. Why are doctors telling you that you don't need cholesterol? This is the problem. Cholesterol is packaged into lipoproteins, LDL and HDL. We're going to talk about what these mean. This is where doctors are getting it wrong and where they're not testing you right on this. And then without cholesterol inside the cells, this is going to lead to diseases like cardiovascular issues and neurodegenerative disorders like Alzheimer's and dementia. So like I said before, doctors are telling you that cholesterol, having too much cholesterol, is going to cause cardiovascular events. Well, I'm telling you, without cholesterol in the cells, it's going to lead to increased inflammation, which is the cause of cardiovascular disease. Inflammation is, not cholesterol. Cholesterol is a lab test, not a disease. So when you go to your doctor to get your labs drawn, I want to empower you to understand what your labs mean so that you can decide for yourself what is best. I want to give you the facts. Okay, listen to this. This is going to blow your mind. So this is how statins came about. 60 years ago, a guy by the name of Ansel Keys started the cholesterol paranoia. He conducted a lipid hypothesis, not a science study, not a research paper, a hypothesis. And this lipid hypothesis was basically saturated fat that was running up cholesterol levels, and the elevated cholesterol in his hypothesis said it led to heart disease. It's simply just not true. But this was his hypothesis. This was his opinion. This was never proven in a research study or any clinical trial. So there hasn't been one study, one clinical trial, or science research to prove that cholesterol causes heart attacks. It's not the cholesterol, it's the inflammation. There was an actual study done showing that 140,000 plus patients were admitted to the hospital for heart disease and had levels of LDL under 100 milligrams. This was my dad, right? It's like, okay, so he had a heart attack, but his LDL wasn't very high. So now what's the problem? How does that happen? It wasn't the cholesterol. So in 2004, a committee of 15 doctors, this is how the statin, this is how it came about. 15 doctors decided to lower the LDL value. So the one that Dr. Ansel Keys and his cronies decided was like, I don't know, I think it was 220 for your total cholesterol total. Maybe it was 210, I don't remember. But in 2004, they decided to make sure that those LDL values they wanted the values to be lower so that they could get you on a statin. They lowered what their opinion was it should be. So for example, now I think the doctors say the total cholesterol, if it's at 180, so they lowered it, right? So if it's at 180, you need to be on a statin, right? Versus 60 years ago, I think it was at 220, and that's now it's like 180, 190 maybe. So if you have a cholesterol rating that's 180, 190, 200, oh my word, they're gonna want to get you on right away. So doctors continue to believe that fat and cholesterol clog your arteries. I am here to tell you that that's not true. Now listen, I'm going to tell you this one thing. So I have had clients that come to me who decide to work with me who want to get off the statins, and their cholesterol is like 100. I've seen 100. I've seen 120. That is so dangerous. So the minute I see that low of cholesterol, I'm like, you need to get off the statin right away because your body is deprived of fat, of cholesterol, and is causing damage to your nerve endings and your brain, and every cell in your body needs it, and it's causing destruction on a cellular level. So, these really low 150, 160, even 170, that's low. That's low. I like to see if clients are working with me and I know that the good LDL is high and the bad LDL is a little lower, then if the total is 220, 230, 240, it's no big deal. My personal total LDL is 230. And it's perfect. My triglycerides are super low. My LDL, small dense, are low, but my HDL is high, but my total is according to them, it's high. And they are like, you need to be on a statin. I'm like, absolutely not. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to explain why I come to that conclusion and why us in the holistic world know and understand this, whereas the MDs don't, because they're still basing all of their research off of a 60-year-old paranoid MD. I didn't even know if he was an MD. He was a researcher. So they're basing their hypothesis on a 60-year-old researcher named Ansel Keys, and it's all a hypothesis. It was not even a study. That's ridiculous. So anyway, inflammation is what causes heart attacks. So I'm going to go to the board, but before I go to the board, I want to show you this. This is your artery. So think of this as a healthy blood vessel, healthy arteries. At the top, this is these little green dots here. You see that? Those are your HDLs. Those are called happy cholesterol. Those are kind of your good ones. And then we have small LDL pattern B, and then there should be purple ones in here too. I just forgot to add them up there. Okay. So that's what a normal blood our healthy blood vessel looks like. You have the blood, you have HDL, you have large and small LDLs running through the blood. This is right here, the bottom one. This is atherosclerosis. So this is the plaquing that's caused by inflammation. I'm going to get to why you get that inflammation. But here's how the plaquing forms. When you have inflammation in the artery wall, so some of the things that cause the inflammation are high blood sugars, bad oils, bad diet. What happens is the wall of the arteries get damaged. So, for example, high blood sugar. If you have high blood sugar, sugar is like shards of glass going through your veins and going through your arteries. So when that sugar is going through your veins, it like scrapes. Think of it as scraping the veins and the arteries. It's scraping the sides of it so that it becomes damaged. So what happens, remember that visual. So when you have damage on the inside of the arteries and the veins, cholesterol goes in to try to heal that damage. So when we have small LDL, this is the small LDL is the bad LDL, large LDL pattern A is the good LDL. So what you're not being taught is that we have two types of LDL. We have large and small. You can see in this diagram here, the purple represents large LDL. The small represents small LDL. This plaquing right here, the reason why it even starts up here, as you can see, there's no plaquing. There's no inflammation because there's no damage to the artery wall. But when this starts plaquing, it's because the wall is damaged and the small LDL, see the yellow? The small LDL go in and try to repair the damage, and then that builds the plaque. If there's no damage to the artery walls, these LDLs are going to go right through just fine. They're not going to attach. They're not going to cause any sort of buildup. The small LDL is what causes and sticks and causes the plaquing. So what happens then is all the large buoyant don't attach. These purple ones, they just try to get through. They don't attach at all. It's only the small that attach. They're sticky. So the red blood cells, the HDL, all this, if the plaquing gets narrow, that's what causes the heart attack because things can't get through. This is what when they tell you, like my dad, he had a 90% blockage. That's probably like about the size of this picture here. It's probably like a 90% blockage, where that's why you have pain because the body's trying to push the blood through, and there's the plaquing, there's a inflammation, it can't get through, so it causes pain. But if you don't have inflammation in your arteries, if you don't know what's causing the inflammation, that's where the problem is. It's the inflammation that the damage to the arteries, medications, diet, high blood sugars, all of that, toxins, heavy metals, those are causing the issues, not the cholesterol. The cholesterol, the small little LDLs, those are the ones that are going in and trying to heal the inflammation, heal the impacted tissue. So then it just builds and keeps building up, till eventually you end up having to have a bypass surgery or a heart attack. So the large LDL and the small LDL, both of those are what determine your total cholesterol numbers on a lab. So you have the large buoyant LDL, you have the small LDL, and then you have the large buoyant and the small. So the small dense, the yellow ones, are the ones that go into, can you see this? That go into these arteries and they start filling in that, and then that causes the narrowing of the arteries. So that luma, which is the luma and the arterial wall is called the luma, that luma gets so damaged that the cholesterol goes in to try to repair it, and then it builds up that plaque. And what happens when you have an aneurysm or other forms of heart attacks can be when that plaquing, it breaks off. So When the plaque starts to crack, causing emboli. You've heard of emboli? You've heard of aneurysms. So when that plaque breaks off, it goes through the bloodstream up to the brain. That's an aneurysm. And you can also have emboli and have a heart attack that way too. Okay, so it's the inflammation that's causing it. So when you have the two different cholesterol, we have the small LDL and you have the large buoyant, large fluffy LDL, which is particle LDLA. Those large ones, they go through, they don't attach to the damaged of a wall. So those two LDLs, small and large, pattern A, pattern B, they are your total cholesterol numbers on a lab, on the lipid panel. So when doctors look at that total cholesterol, they don't know the number of small versus the number big. Because you can have a lot of big ones in your total cholesterol, like I do. My total cholesterol is 230. I have a lot of large. I hardly have any of the small. And there is a test that you can run for that, and doctors never run it. The standard lipid panel does not show you that information. The standard lipid panel does not show you the large buoyant that you have and the small dense. It doesn't show you that. There's only one test that does, and doctors don't run it because they don't know how to read it. When you get this NMR, it's called an NMR. When you get it back, they don't know how to read it, so they don't ever order it. I know how to read them. This is why I'm so confident when I coach my clients, help my clients, if I know how to read it and I know how to tell them what they need to do, that's empowering. But doctors, if you ask your doctor, they're going to either say no or they're going to run one, and then they're not going to know how to read it. This is why they don't order them. This is not a lab that they learned in med school. It's crazy, you guys. I'm just telling you. The holistic naturopaths and the holistic nutritionists like me and the practitioners like me, we understand this stuff because we try to heal the body and we give the body what it needs so that it can heal itself. We don't medicate. We don't medicate. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe anything. I want to prevent you from having to go on medications or get you off of them. The innate intelligence of the body is so smart and it knows how to heal itself, but we have to provide it with the right things. You can't continue to eat like crap, put in the bad things that are causing the arteries to become inflamed. If you're going to keep doing that, then yeah, you can go on a statin and then your health is just going to get even worse. You'll have low cholesterol, but now you're going to have neuropathy and now you're going to have, pain and you're going to have nerve damage and you're going to have, you're going to be closer to getting dementia and Alzheimer's. What's your choice here? There is a solution, and I just hate to see you guys not understanding this, because when you truly understand it, you can then make the changes that you need. So inflammation is from your diet, your lifestyle, and toxins. And one of the big things is rancid oil. When you guys put this rancid oil, how seed oils are processed is criminal. They take it and they heat it and then they add different chemicals to it so it's light, because when you actually heat up oil, it turns dark and they don't want to sell dark oil. So then they add different bleaches and different chemicals to it to make it light. And then that is what's causing so much free radical damage on a cellular level and causing inflammation in your arteries. You have to avoid these inflammatory oils. It's imperative. And they're everywhere. They're in every fast food. They're in your restaurant foods. You have to know how to order it, canola oil and, safflower oil, vegetable oil. It's in restaurant, even upstanding restaurant foods. You have to know how to order. Fast food is in every packaged food. And, people will say to me, well, I'm a vegan. I eat healthy. Do you understand that vegan food is some of the worst processed food in the world? Because you're not eating meat, but they're putting all these chemicals in this vegan food, packaged vegan food. They're using all these bad seed oils. And those oils and all the chemicals and preservatives and the toxins in that food is what's causing inflammation. So then when you get inflammation and then your body's making 3,000 milligrams of cholesterol a day because it's trying to heal it, it's going into your arteries, and the bad LDL that you're getting from your food is going and trying to protect the inflammation. It's trying to protect your arteries. And then it builds up and builds up and builds up. So that's what's really happening. So this is why, you're either feeding disease or you're feeding your health. Moderation is not a thing. Okay, when somebody comes to me and says, well, I can have this once in a while, I can have this. Listen, if your arteries are blocked, your body has to do something with this food. You can't eat something and it's just going to magically disappear. Your body has to process the food that goes in. So either you're going to put in crappy, toxic food and your body has to figure out what to do with it, and causing more damage in the body, cellular damage, or you're eating foods that are healing. Your body knows exactly what to do with vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients. It knows exactly what to do with it. It knows where to put it in the body. It knows how to fuel it. It knows how to digest it, right? So you're either feeding your disease or you're feeding your health. There's no such thing as moderation. People say that to me all the time. Well, moderation is okay. No, it's not. You can't. It's not like when you eat something, it's not erased. It's got to go somewhere, and it does damage. It does damage. Now, what kind of damage it does depends on the person, right? Some people have amazing genetics, and it takes them years before they have a heart attack, or years before they have, plaquing, or years before they get diabetes. Some other people, they can get it sooner or later. It just that's the thing we don't know. Everybody's so different. So most people, what happens is they just wait until they get a symptom. They're not preventing it all, because here's what they say. Well, I've been eating like that for years. There's nothing wrong with me. It's going on inside. It's creeping up. Trust me. Eventually it's gonna add up, and it's gonna creep up, and it's gonna be a problem. So that's what I hear a lot of times too, is, I can have this and I can have that. I don't have any symptoms. Okay, not yet. But it will eventually. Your body can't handle it. It's like if your car requires unleaded fuel and you're putting in diesel, your car's not going to run. You can't put in bad oil and bad gas into your car. It's not going to run properly. It's not going to work. It's the same with our body. We can't put in bad fuel. If we're putting in bad fuel all the time, it's not going to run, and it's going to break down. So you're either feeding your health or you're feeding your disease. And, you're feeding your stress or you're feeding your health. Stress is huge in how your body becomes toxic. Stress on the body. Disease is a stress. How you think is a stress. If you're not sleeping is a stress. If you're not exercising, if you're not moving, if you're sitting on your butt all day, that's a stress. So you're either going to feed that or you're going to feed your health. So here's kind of the closing information, right? The closing caveat. If you are not willing to change your diet, lower your triglycerides, know how to lower your insulin, lower inflammation, take CoQ10 if you're on a statin, find a new doctor or let me help you, then you're going to need to be on a statin. And then you can expect, if you don't start doing these things, then you can expect you're going to go on a statin, you're going to have high triglycerides, you're going to have high LDL pattern B, which is the small dense. You're going to have blocked arteries, plaquing, increased meds and side effects, heart disease, heart attack, and chronic heart failure. That's what you can expect if you don't change this. I hate this for you. I hate this for people. It makes me very sad, especially when there's a solution. Your doctor is always going to be drug dealers. They're drug experts, not health experts. Okay, we are going to help you. We're going to peel back all the layers and figure out your overall picture, like what's happening. Like let's run these labs that your doctors never run. Let's run those labs. Let's analyze them. Let's do a nutritional deficiency test. If you're on a statin, you're 100% nutrient deficient. In fact, if you're on diabetes medications, you're nutrient deficient. And when you're deficient, when you're low in the gas tank, When you have low gas in your car, it doesn't run. When you have low nutrition in your body, it doesn't run. Plus, if you have inflammation, you're blocking all the absorption of your nutrients. So again, all of this could sound very overwhelming and very confusing. It doesn't need to be. And the reason why it's confusing is because your doctor never talks to you about this because he doesn't know. You get 10 minutes with him every 6 months. So you go to your medical doctor and he does an office visit. He asks you how you're feeling. You say, I got a pain here. I got a pain here. Oh, you got a pain here? Okay, what is it? Let's do an MRI. Oh, you have an enlarged gallbladder. Instead of knowing how to fix an enlarged gallbladder, he'll be like, we got to get you in for surgery. I mean, that's just what they do, right? Oh, you got sore throat. Oh, you have acid reflux. Okay, let's not tell you how to fix it. Let's just put you on antacid. So they don't know how to prevent, nor do they know how to treat or cure. They know how to treat. So that's just what it is. I mean, there's just, it's a bummer. And, I do think not all doctors are bad. I do think to give doctors credit, the doctors that truly have time and they care and they're up to speed on the latest science, they have to go above and beyond what they're expected of them in med school, though, because if you go above and beyond what's expected of you, that's when you have to spend time learning this stuff. And they don't have the time because it's not offered to them in med school. It's a whole separate, they've got to go and learn this themselves. And a lot of times there's certain things that you can't do as an MD. There's certain things you cannot do because insurance won't cover it or insurance won't let you or whatever. So it's so political. It's so wrong. Our medical health plans are, and it's really it's a scam and it's almost criminal. You should be able to go to your doctor, and your insurance should be able to cover any sort of medical care, whether it's a medical doctor, whether it's a health practitioner, whether it's a naturopath, whether it's an herbalist. Your insurance should cover any form of medical treatment that you want. But they don't. It's the medical monopoly. They want to be able to sell drugs. And if you're in the medical arena, the allopathic model, they don't want you taking supplements. They want you taking drugs so you can make money on drugs. So, you're kind of stuck, but here's the good news is your body has the ability to heal itself and you have resources. You have resources like myself, and there's many good people out there that teach what I teach, but you have resources to help you. But you've got to take that first step. I just hope this was helpful, and I hope that you can understand that when you have your total cholesterol number, so if it's 250, 230, whatever, it's not the total number that is important. It's the breakdown of that 230, how much large buoyant you have versus how much small dense you have. And the other more critical point, too, I'll just say this. The other critical point is your triglycerides. The triglycerides are extremely important because those also cause blockages. So it's the triglycerides that are more important too. They cause inflammation because the triglycerides, when your body breaks down triglycerides, it's usually from those bad seed oils or sugar. Okay, so when you're eating a lot of sugar, it converts to triglycerides. So when you get a triglyceride test done, you're like, I'm not eating any fat. It's not the fat that's causing the triglycerides. It's the sugar. It's the carbs. That's your liver's converting that glucose into triglycerides or the bad seed oils. Okay, so you have to just know this stuff, and your doctor's not going to ever be able to help you with that. So I just want to help. I just want to help you guys to empower you so that you understand this stuff, so you can go to your doctor and you can be like, hey doc, you can ask them questions versus them demanding that you're on medications and you don't even know why. So many of you are on a list of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 medications and you don't even know why. It's not your fault. Your doctors aren't explaining it to you. So I want to help you understand that so you can get off these medications. But it's something that I can't, this whole class tonight, I am not telling you to go off your medications. I cannot tell you to do that. I am not diagnosing and I'm not telling you to do that. That is not what I'm telling you to do. If you want to come work with me and I can help assess and help you with that, that's a whole nother thing. But you can't just, you can't do that. You have to understand this stuff so you can have these conversations with your doctor, or find a one that will actually be able to help you and answer your questions. Okay, was this helpful? Was it I mean, is the visual kind of helpful to, did I explain it in a way that you can understand? Because I know when I first started studying this, it was really confusing. It was really like, what, LDL, there's two types of LDLs. What's that mean? My doctors are saying that, I mean, my doctor, my cholesterol is 230. And she was like, you got to go on a cholesterol, especially because your dad had a heart attack. I'm like, no. And then there's another test you can take to see if you have plaquing or not. I mean, there's just so many things you can do preventative wise. And then once you know where you're at, then there's things you can do to reverse the condition. Now, not all conditions are reversible if it gets to be too late. So don't get me wrong, but you can always usually get better or prevent it from getting worse. Okay, I mean, diabetes for sure is reversible. Plaquing is tricky. Plaquing is really tricky. I mean, you can usually prevent it from getting worse, but to reverse plaquing is pretty challenging to do. I've seen it happen very slow if they're doing things exactly right. I've seen CAC scores go down and plaquing reduce, but it's a this is why it's so important to know where you're at and start doing this now so you don't end up having a heart attack due to inflammation. Because the cholesterol isn't the problem, it's the inflammation. But the cholesterol, if you have the a lot of the small dens and you already have plaquing, yeah, then that's going to be a problem. But this is the other thing, right? It's like if the plaquing is coming in, if it's building up, and you're on a statin and you're lowering your cholesterol, you're still eating bad, and even though you have low cholesterol, you're still causing that inflammation, and those are going to keep they're going to keep attacking, no matter if you're on a statin or not. So it's like this is why it's like such it's not it's just statins are they're just a scam. If you truly understand if you truly understand what's going on, statins are very bad. But